with their personal abilities, with their aggressiveness, and becomes a good formula too. Works properly because the guy is just good enough to do it. But that cannot be something we teach for anyone, because if you don't have what he has, he cannot be executed. So we have to teach in Jiu-Jitsu in a level anyone can take it. And after that point, you can take what you learn and add your personal abilities and attributes.
Don't you think, though, that even those big, strong guys, if they learned everything perfectly, if they learned the right technique in the right way and almost ignored the fact that they were strong, they would have even more success?
Oh, man, definitely. Imagine Helio Gracie with 250 pounds.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, right? I mean, you think there's, one time I remember when Crone was young, you and I, we were over at your house, and you were showing me some fights from Coliseum, from the 2000 event. And you were breaking down how so many fighters leave so much space.
Yes.
And that this is all fundamentally wrong. And that if you follow the correct principles of jiu-jitsu, and if you see even these guys who are jiu-jitsu black belts, they left space. They had all these errors that they shouldn't have had because they didn't concentrate on the details the way your father did.
Yes, I agree 100%, because today not only the jiu-jitsu becomes very popular, but the competitiveness aspect of jiu-jitsu creates, based on rules and practice, a jiu-jitsu which not representing the control for the kill. Is a jiu-jitsu represents more strategy for winning a tournament by points, advantages. Of course, if the guy make a mistake, you can choke or submit. But the great objectivity of the fight today is not losing by points. It's not expose yourself by losing by little. So the worries and the concerns about fighting become a little different than just fight for winning and keeping tight, like, it's no two options. You have to just go for the kill and tight enough and taking advantage of every different space is given to capitalize. So the idea of controlling your opponent with the objectivity to win is a little different than the objectivity of a jiu-jitsu who has create points or a system which in 2 or 3 minutes the fight is going to end and I'm going to win, so why am I going to bother? So you can see a strategy was not there in my time.
Yeah, there's a lot of that you would see with wrestlers entering into these tournaments where they would figure out how to hold a guy down, take a guy down, hold a guy down, but they would never pass to a dominant position and they would never finish. They would never try to finish. That was not their objective. Their objective was just to score points.
Yes, and you put that kind of strategy and a very tough guy who decides to compete in the MMA or a fight on the street, he will feel like not exactly comfortable to be effective in jiu-jitsu the way it's supposed to be, because he's not going to find ideas for points or submission or strategies, competitive strategies on the street or on the MMA. That's why the jiu-jitsu and MMA today has less representativity than supposed to have, because becomes a little spacey. The guard, the Vale Tudo guard especially, is not present in maybe 95% of the jiu-jitsu fighters today.
But when you say by the Vale Tudo guard, like what specifically do you mean about that?
Because if I don't have a Vale Tudo guard, I don't know how to deal with somebody who wants to punch me.
Or headbutt.
Or elbows, or striking, or get in a position to hurt me. A Vale Tudo guard expects only the striking, only the headbutt, so I'm comfortable to deal that. If you train in jiu-jitsu for life, and every time you put a gi and try to do arm locks, and you put yourself in a position you could get punched, and you never receive those punches, you never receive those, you're never aware of the angles and the possibilities, you become like unaware. So you bring that defective jiu-jitsu to a MMA fight, you will be scared of being in a guard, because every time in a guard you get punched, you get problems. Different than a guy who has a comfortable situation from the guard position. I really like Krone's Vale Tudo guard, because he's aware of the situation. He loves to be in a guard as he loves to be mounted, like myself. For me, I have no problems to be on the bottom in a guard or have to be mounted. For me, two are great positions for victory.
That's a very good point, because there is a transitionary period when fighters who are only competing in jiu-jitsu have to deal with those punches, and a lot of times they are not comfortable at all being on their back.
Yes.
They'd like to get out of that position, and they would only like to be on top, because in that position they can control the strikes better.
Yes. And then you have to deal with a wrestler who's impossible to take down, and you spend all your energy trying to go, instead pull him to the guard and kick his ass with pretty much simple attitude, you know.
When you see jiu-jitsu today, and you see that there's so much of it that does rely on points, do you long for the day, like, do you wish that they had no limit jiu-jitsu matches that were submission only? Do you think that's a better way to do it?
I mean, definitely, not only for jiu-jitsu, but for MMA. If you want to be a result, you have to take off the judge and the points to see who is the best guy out there.
Right.
You know, and a tennis match can be quickly resolved if I win the 3 sets, but can be a 5-hour dispute if every point we dispute like crazy.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the difference to see a half-hour game or a 5-hour game. So why we don't have that kind of scenario in jiu-jitsu or in MMA? Because you want to see somebody who win at the end. And the situation, if I score on you 10 points and you end up mounted on me, I win because I have 10 points. But in reality, if you mount on me and you end the fight mounted, your chance for you to be the winner is bigger. Same thing than MMA. If I fight in MMA and I win the first round because I punch you once in the face. I win the second round because I punch you again in the face and nothing happened. And on the third round, you mount on me, I turn back, you choke me out. When I was about to tap, the bell rings, the judge stops the fight. The guy who win the previous 2 rounds win the match. And that's not, for me, a realistic understanding of what is the fight means. For me, the value of who is winning the last round, if I have already the choke, I just need 10 more seconds to beat you, and the fight is over. In terms of reality, this guy lost the fight. No way for him to win. And that's not happened. So the interpretation, the rules, the time, they all kind of coming to promote entertainment, but not to give you the sense of who is the best guy out there.
It is a problem, right, where you're trying to figure out how to make something so it's palatable to people to watch as an entertainment vehicle, but it's also representative of a competitive martial art.
I don't think is a capacity for you to do both. I think right now the idea is entertainment, which is very relevant. People love it. Fighters make money. Everything goes well. I don't say nothing wrong about it. But it's not martial arts. It's a game, entertainment, something which people like to see for the blows, for the art, for the violence, but it's not about who is the best guy out there.
It's a game that uses martial arts.
Yes.
I wonder if there's room for, well, it would have to be both. It would have to be no holds barred, and it would also have to be no time limits.
Yes.
And I feel like someone could put something like that together, but the problem is at the highest levels of the organizations, everybody wants to fight for the UFC or they want to fight for Bellator. I mean, that's really what you want. If you want the biggest companies with the most experience, most eyes on you, I don't think they're going to be willing to do that. They're not going to be willing to have these no limit, no time limit, no rules fights. So if that's the case, you're not going to get the best athletes, because the best athletes are going to get signed to the UFC and signed to Bellator.
Of course. Yeah, like I said, the idea of entertainment, the idea of business is go way above the idea of legitimacy or so I think in terms of ideas, the idea of making something real is appealing. But in terms of business, I feel like the way we have right now is more appealing, is the way it is.
Yeah. Well, it's popular. The good thing is it's making more people want to train martial arts and train jiu-jitsu and train kickboxing. But I see what you're saying in that the purity is not the same as the early days.
Yes. But I also feel like the practice today of different styles of martial arts, without the punishment, without the suffering, you should do. For example, you go in the gym. When you go in any gym, no matter if it's MMA, at the beginning you're not gonna get hurt, you're not gonna get injured. You're gonna be instructed to punch the bag or to throw the hip throws or sweeps. So you get engaged in a practice which favors your ability to deal the techniques, the ability to get fit, the ability to understand pressure, but at your own pace. Sometimes, if you do this too much, you're going to quit because you're going to get injury. So the idea of creating a scenario to promote fitness, sensorial ability, for you to develop your senses, your capacities, your breathing, without putting pressure for you to have an enemy in front of you, I think that's growing, because the real enemy today is the COVID. The real enemy today coming through email. So if you have a practice who is more than just go to the gym, lift weights, but a practice to develop your deflection, your timing to escape from a punch, the capacity for you to handle your base and not get it to fall, the capacity for you to, if you see a neck exposed, to get a headlock. So you start to favor yourself with knowledge and practice, which doesn't put you a fighter, doesn't make you a fighter, but make you knowledgeable about possibilities you may have, and you're going to be happy to know them, even though you're a doctor, even though you're a lawyer, even though you're a guy who's just an executive, who has no plans to fight nobody, but by know better, you're more confident, you're more calm, you're more peaceful, because a lot of the insecure state of mind is what brings violence to the table. The violence coming when you feel threatening, when you feel, oh man, so ego and stuff. So when you become more confident, even though you're not a fighter, even though you just practice in a light way, you become much more comfortable to be peaceful, to say, hey man, I'm sorry, I don't want to fight. No. So you're able to come up with situations which is not about fighting to win. It's about win without a fight. So using a lot of the concepts of martial arts make you more forgiveness, make you more balanced, make you more capable to stretch your patience. And that's very positive to handle life, problems, situations, and so on.
And I always tell people that I believe that jiu-jitsu is the best martial art for real-life conflict, because in training, you're really going 100%. It's like if you go 100% all the time with kickboxing, you knock each other out every day. You can't do that. You'll be damaged. You'll get brain damage. You'll have to quit.
Yes.
But in jiu-jitsu, when you have a training partner, they could be your brother. You could love them, but you're trying to choke them, and they're trying to tap you, and you're going at it full blast, and then you tap or you tap them, and you keep going.
Yes.
When you deal with a real life conflict, if that ever happens, and hopefully it never will, you'll be accustomed to people resisting 100%.
Yes. Jiu-Jitsu gives you the pleasure of feeling your gauges, your temperature, your tiredness, your panicking, your intelligence, your sharpness, your techniques. So you're able to use those in a very expressive way. You're able to unleash the beast anytime you want. So you're able to really recognize yourself under pressure, discomfortable, comfortable, confident. And those give you the articulation to live. You leave the school, you're more peaceful, you're more sharp, you're more intelligent, because you've been sharpening your knife at the school to use at life.
What are your thoughts on all the new techniques of jiu-jitsu? There's many schools of thoughts when it comes to jiu-jitsu. A lot of people like to try all these fancy new moves and all these new strategies and new ways of approaching things, barambolos and different Imanari rolls, and And some people think that the best way to handle it is to look at the very basics of jiu-jitsu and just hone those to a razor sharpness.
I love the fundamentals. Those fundamentals are the core of efficiency. But those fundamentals, sometimes they connected with different elements of creativity. And because the guys, they training like crazy today and always been, but the evolutionary process of the tournaments and the grips and the things, lapel guards and things. So I cannot deny the effectiveness of this when you have a lapel. I cannot deny the practice of this when your opponent is playing the game you expect him to play. But it's always a way to deal with situations to diminish the effectiveness of a lapel. So that's that play today. The guy coming with a technique of a lapel guard, some other guy coming with the anti-lapel guard technique to do. So this evolves to the point where sometimes becomes a lot of wasting time, because in reality what you want is submit the opponent, not exactly make a sweep or making. So the idea of the submission, the idea of the finishing, the idea of being in control cannot be diminished based on that kind of amount of new techniques. So for every 10 techniques I see, I can relate at least with one. I can maybe accept works good, maybe 3 or 4. But others will depend of the opponent allowed you to do. Pretty much a lot of things they show are effective when the situation is exactly what they show. If the guy change a little bit, it's not happening anymore. So I'm not exactly in favor of new techniques. I know they happen, but I really like the fundamentals.
The fundamentals of the core.
Yes.
What did you think when Eddie Bravo and you, he showed you some of his ideas for rubber guard and some of those techniques last time we got together? What did you think about those? They have,
if you know what to expect and how to handle, you can defend. Between them, if both guys are expert on the same, the situation will be diminished because the effectiveness is not there anymore. Pretty much some techniques are good to surprise the opponent, but not effective against the opponent who knows better. So I was talking with Jean-Jacques one day about it. He said, yeah, it's good, it works, but if you do this and that, you kill the position and there's nothing going to happen. And I understand every situation is like that in Jiu-Jitsu, but in some situations, which the ones I really like, as you protect one, you expose other. As you protect this one, you're going to... So it's always something for me to escalate the pressure and go towards the submission. Some positions, they stuck in the middle, and I need you to make a mistake for me to capitalize. If you don't make a mistake, we get stuck here. And so I cannot escalate the process. The positions I like, I'm able to escalate. I go to the neck, you protect the neck, I'm already going for an arm lock. So I'm able to create a comfortable evolutionary process to the submission.
One of the more interesting things about Jiu-Jitsu today is the evolution of the leg lock game. It's really accelerated over the last, say, 6 or 7 years.
Yes.
It's, particularly because of John Danaher and the Rickson Gracie team. These guys have effectively changed the way a lot of particularly no-gi fights go down. What are your thoughts on that?
I've always been a very much fan for leg locks. I remember a long time ago, my friend Eric Paulson, he showed me a tape when I was about to go to Japan to fight the first Vale Tudo. He showed me a tape of Shoto. Shoto was the techniques were created by Satoru Sayama, which is the tiger mask in Japan. So he showed me that tape, and in that tape they go a lot in knee locks and leg locks. So next day, I was inspired to do leg locks and foot locks and everybody. Foot locks I already expert. I already know. The knee locks were new for me. So, and the next day I was training with everybody at the school and submitting everybody on the leg locks, knee locks. I always been very much, I really like leg locks with no doubts. And I felt like sometimes if I want to cheat, if I want to win fast, I go for the leg lock because the guy will tap quicker. I was feeling like almost like, oh, leg locks is cheating because it's too easy. With all this, the leg locks understanding and pressure are never being exposed too much to others. And now, like you said, after this kind of group start to training and stuff, so they really become more effective in knee locks, leg locks, and that's a big game change if you don't know how to escape. But again, if you get two guys are expert, the training partners, you're not going to see that many leg locks. You're going to see a lot of preparations and stuff. But the leg locks will get these surprising ones who don't know the ability to escape. Because if you know what I want, as you start to approach, I start to escaping. My movements has to be coordinated to anticipate the final move. If you get me on a checkmate, it's over. So with the legs are two possibilities for you to get the situation and make it happen. And it's very dangerous if you're not aware. But as you start to get used to give foot locks you become like a part like giving chokes and taking chokes. So that becomes normal, and it's just a new way, a new option for the submission.
To prove your point, Craig Jones, who's one of the Danaher guys, said that they almost never tap each other with leg locks.
Yes.
And he goes, they don't even go for it.
Yes.
Because everybody knows the positions and knows the defense.
Yes, so they anticipate the defense. It becomes like, it's just one more piece on the puzzle, and it's very well done, and it's very, very dangerous. And if you're not aware, you can get a quick defeat. Because especially on the knee locks, if you try to resist, pop your ligaments, and instead you feel pain. So it's very dangerous.
When the early days, in the early days of jiu-jitsu tournaments, if someone tried to win by leg lock, the crowd would go crazy and boo.
Not really. Was not common, but
maybe not in the early days, maybe after the early days, but there was a time in jiu-jitsu tournaments for sure if someone would try to tap someone with a leg lock or a knee bar. Do you think that was because of the concern with injury?
Yes. The idea of the foot lock, even though I'm grabbing your foot and try to attack that joint of the foot, depending how I use my hips and my legs, I can really force your knee. So sometimes the criticism was, oh, the guy went to my foot, but he put pressure on my knee and popped my knee instead. So he's still holding the foot, but with the intention to hurt your knee. And those kind of inverse positions was forbidden for a long time in jiu-jitsu. So when somebody gets your foot, the referee will see if your intention is to hurt his knee and then immediately stop the fight and give you penalties and stuff. But now it's legal. Now they open and people are going to start to get improving in defenses, improving in situations to don't get caught. It's just a matter of understanding the techniques and start to practice accordingly and going to become just another variant.
Do you think it just has to be, people have to be more cautious in training and teaching it, especially to new people?
Definitely, because like I said, it works on the ligaments. If I force my finger this way, I will feel pain before I hurt. If I force this way, will pop, and then I will feel pain. So it hurts nothing, and then pop.
Yeah.
So the knee has lateral ligaments, which prevents from moving laterally. If I resist, I feel nothing until it pops. It's not going to feel pain different than a straight knee bar.
And then you need surgery.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a big issue with leg lock specialists. A giant percentage of them wind up having knee surgery.
Yes.
It's a difficult thing to learn when you're, unless you're with really good training partners and everyone's cautious and you do it correctly. But it can be done.
Yes, can be done.
Yeah.
It's prize fighting, but it's also entertainment.
Yeah, and it is tough for a lot of guys because bottom line, you could be the best in the world. I hate using this as an example because I love the guy, Demetrius Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, was one of the best UFC fighters to ever. Stand in there.
Of all time.
But it's like,
if not the best.
He, for whatever reason, and it's probably because, and I feel like I'm kind of the same way, we're not shit talkers. We're not guys that cause that drama and make things dramatic. We just want to get in there, compete, and kick someone's ass and go have some fun doing other things that we enjoy. And you know, I don't think he moved the needle at all, you know, and people were saying that. So
he was also 125 pounds.
Exactly, and I think that's another issue too. Not an issue, but it's you know, it's something people want to see these big guys just go in there and KO people. Bottom line. But,
yeah, isn't it interesting because 135 is really popular. It's only 10 pounds.
I know.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I don't understand it, but
it's weird. It's like you can't be the smallest. You can be the second smallest, and everybody's like, "All right, I'm all in with these bantamweights." Like that fucking T.J. Dillashaw Sandhagen fight from last weekend was amazing,
man,
amazing.
T.J. was supposed to come do our tuna trip, our fins and feathers tuna trip, and we knew it was a 50-50 chance that, you know, whether he had broken hands or something that he wouldn't be able to come, but.
His knee's mangled, right?
Oh yeah, he had to have surgery, and he sent.
Did he have the surgery?
I think he already had surgery. Yeah.
How bad is it?
I think he said it's a 3-month recovery, but
that's it.
Yeah, I don't even know if I should be saying all this on here. Sorry, TJ, but I
Sorry,
don't know if
TJ.
I don't know if you want this out or not, but yeah, I know he was pretty mangled up from it. He was on crutches.
It looked like it was the heel hook, if I had to guess. Like a lot of people were saying he wrenched it on the way out, but there's a moment where Sandhagen catches him in a heel hook, and he's yanking on it. And the way I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, that could rip your shit apart.
Yeah, he didn't tell me what it was from. He just showed me photos of his knee was just huge. His knee,
probably
his
barely
ankle,
knew.
Yeah,
probably barely knew. If his ankle was fucked too, that even lends more credibility to the possibility.
And it could have been opposite sides too. I'd have to look at the photos, but I do know I talked to TJ like a week before the fight, and he was like, "Man, this is probably the most injured I've ever been going into a fight." But he's like, "Fuck it," and TJ's just a tough son of a bitch.
He's a tough motherfucker.
Yeah, he's a tough son of a bitch.
People give him a lot of shit for that EPO thing, and and he deserves it, and he'll tell you he deserves it.
Yeah.
But look, that motherfucker was dying making 125, like literally dying. I've never seen anybody look worse. Walking around, like when they were filming him, not even the day he was making weight, but like up to the day of making weight, he looked like a fucking skeleton.
Yeah,
horrible.
I'm so against big weight cuts, man.
Yeah,
I fucking hate it. I cut tons of weight throughout college for wrestling, and you know, my senior year, I finally just put my foot down and was like, look, I'm going up 2 weight classes. I'm not cutting to 125s anymore.
Wow.
Dude, I used to cut to 125s, and I was making weight 2 times a week, you know, wrestling. And I went up to 141s and was undefeated the entire year. My only loss came in the NCAA finals. And it's the best I had ever felt. And I'm like, dude, why did I not do that my whole life?
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
It's like you're doing this. I'm fully against weight cutting in MMA, period.